think we can probably get started here then. Well, fantastic, and really, really grateful to be here. A massive welcome to all the attendees and all the panelists, judges, and everyone who is with us. This session is the RegTech for Good Challenge session. This is some presentations on vulnerability and how we can address vulnerable customers across Africa. Just going to spend the next few minutes laying out what's been going on behind the scenes ahead of this session. And then we're going to have three fantastic pitches from three teams on possible solutions to help and aid with vulnerable customers across the area. So over the last week or so, there has been a hackathon ongoing as part of the RegTech for Good Challenge, where we had over 50 people sign up, and they were all with the goal to help design new solutions and leverage existing solutions in the RegTech space. Those solutions were all aimed at helping vulnerable customers. Now, when we think of a vulnerable customer, what we're talking about is someone who really, due to their own personal circumstances, is particularly susceptible to falling down if a company acts maliciously or doesn't have their best interests at heart. So really, this challenge is all about, at the core of it, it's about the fair treatment of those vulnerable customers. So what really is going on right now? It's quite often the case that for vulnerable customers and in poorer areas, people are actually paying a premium on some utilities such as water or internet, and then receiving a worse rate. And really, it acts like this, but are spread throughout Africa, and it really is the definition of making people vulnerable and exploiting them. So the teams were tasked with kind of maybe improving the process, improving the environment in which they're acting. And we gave them a whole range of different ideas that they could build on. And I don't want to steal any of their thunder, but kind of ideas they've been dealing with are how you could maybe identify vulnerable customers based on a life event. Is there a better framework that can be applied for vulnerable customers? How can you manage their data? And what sorts of intelligent workflows could you apply for those vulnerable customers to help protect them? And the goal is just to create or use that new RegTech tool. As part of the pitches today, we have 4 fantastic judges with us. I think at the very least 3 have managed to join the session, and the other will be watching the sessions and reviewing them after. But I just wanted to invite the judges just as a thank you for being here, also just to give a line about themselves and just to explain who they are and kind of why they're part of this event. Just looking at my screen, Tinder, are you okay to jump in first and just give us a quick introduction to yourself?
Thank you very much, Oli. I'll be happy to do that. Good afternoon, everyone, or good day for wherever you're joining from. My name is Tunde Ogunbade, and I'm with AcceleRx, and I'm really excited to be a part of this. My background has been in technology management consulting, financial services, and I'm excited to be a part of this because I've spent, if you will, the last decade thinking about this problem every time I go to sleep and every time I wake up, knowing fully well the fiduciary responsibility committed into our hands to make sure we protect those who are least vulnerable. So I'm happy that these teams have come together to try and address this problem space. It's something that's very important. The least vulnerable in our society are the ones that are least protected, and hopefully this would turn the goods around and fortunes around. So that's something about me. Bye.
Fantastic, thank you. The next judge we have is Sujata.
Yeah, hi everybody. It's great to be here, and it's so wonderful to be part of seeing your presentations and kind of help to move the needle on some of these key challenges in the market. My background is in financial services. I've built and launched financial services globally for some of the big banks like HSBC, and then started my own marketplace platform as an entrepreneur about 3 years ago. and now working with Near One on the proposition here. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how you've kind of thought about the problem and how you thinking about bringing the ideas to market, commercializing them, and really creating an opportunity to serve others through your propositions as well as commercialize them. Thank you.
Fantastic, thanks, Sujata. And I think the final judge with us today, but by no means least, we have Ashoke.
Hey everyone, so I guess I'm the only one who's at the beach having fun because you all have very serious looking backgrounds, or maybe I'm the only one who missed the background and that's why I don't have that. The name is Ashoke Ojior. I'm part of the RegTech organizing crew, chair of the advisory council for this conference. My background is in risk management, so all things cybersecurity, compliance with regulation, technology. In terms of industry, I'm mainly being in consulting, biotech, and fintech. So glad to have you all here, and I'm looking forward to much improved pitch decks from the discussion we had yesterday. Thanks.
Fantastic, thank you. And guys, just as a final reminder to the teams, and so everyone's aware, the format of this is now going to be the 3 teams are all going to have 5 minutes to pitch their solutions to our judges. And the judges are going to then have 3 minutes to ask any questions that they like. Following that, the judges are going to go away, decide those winners. And then tomorrow there will be an announcement as to who has won the challenge, who has come up with the best RegTech for Good solution. So without further ado then, I'd love to invite the Team 1 to present your solution.
Good day, everybody. My name is Nonhlanhla Noninkosi. I am part of the Fino-Africa team. We're here to present to you our play-to-earn financial literacy solution targeted at vulnerable youth in Africa. So we have identified a problem. One, firstly, is that there is low financial literacy rate amongst people in general in Africa, and it leads to people making bad financial decisions. But with the youth, we have identified that the youth are not really included. We don't really have financial literacy that is inclusive for the youth. And there are no sufficient incentives or interactive programs that the youth can actually engage with the content, and interact with the content in order to learn how to manage their finances better. So for our solution, we are proposing a play-to-earn platform where players can earn points and win meaningful rewards through the collaborations and the partnerships that we will have with other organizations. We're planning to have demo accounts that will have pseudo money to learn how to save, learn how to invest, learn how to generate income. And we aim to just build a community of young people where they can play, compete, and make it a norm to learn about financial literacy. So for our market, we have identified 3 target areas, which are schools and higher institutions, financial service providers, as well as stakeholders that are invested in financial literacy as part of their corporate social responsibility programs. We would also like to leverage on the fact that there's a high usage of people that are using that are able to use mobile internet in Africa. And also the dollars that you see on the screen is money that has been invested before in such programs, in such financial literacy programs. So in the first 3 months, because this was a hackathon and we felt that we didn't really have enough time to do our market research and how we can best use the technology, we want to spend the first 3 months refining this idea and then move on to build, test, and possibly secure first stage funding, as well as, it doesn't really have to be a financial resource. It could also be other resources as well. And in the next 9 months, we plan to introduce our product to the market and then move on to evaluate how the product is doing on the market and identify other growth opportunities as well. And in the next 18 months, we plan to have partners and have other organizations that we'll be collaborating with. and as well as, secure more funding for our idea. So why am I part of the team? I want to be directly involved in helping to build solutions for Africa. I have a technical background, and I'm from South Africa. I work for national government, and yeah, that is my dream. I will introduce my team member, Faidat.
Hi, I'm Faidat. So the reason why I've decided to participate is my dream is to be an active participant in developing Africa. I have an MSc in Innovative Finance. I just graduated, and I'm passionate about trying to develop Africa through innovation. I am also currently the Executive Secretary of the Youth Foundation in Nigeria, where I'm from. So we're going to finalize now. Thank you for listening to our pitch. Our commitment is to put Africa's youth in control of their own money so they can better learn how to protect themselves. Thank you for listening.
So with that concluded, I would love to open it up to the judges. If you've got any questions to pose to the team one.
Yeah, I'll go first. That was fantastic. Thank you so much for taking us through that presentation. And I'm really pleased to see the evolution of the deck over the last few days as well. So well done for that. I found it really interesting the way you thought about your roadmap and how you're going to be spending the next few months once you get started. So I'd be really interested if you could tell me a little bit more about what each of your roles would be as you go forward in building that concept out.
Yeah, so we did discuss the individual roles that we would play. So as we start the development of the process, I would be in charge of the operations and sort of trying to build the technology. We both have a bit of technical background, so we will both be involved in the building, but we also have separate backgrounds apart from that, and as well as our work experiences that we have. That would also allow us to deal with the management part of it at the beginning. Eventually, we would hope to expand our team, of course, to include more people. We would focus on sales and marketing, but at the very beginning, both of us would work together to build the initial product.
Question for me, in terms of your promise to the market, right? What are you promising the market in terms of what your solution would do when it meets that problem?
I mean, what are we promising our target markets, the people that we've identified as our target market? So what we're promising them is, an opportunity to improve financial literacy. And for financial institutions, especially, improving financial literacy means that they also get to include more people in the financial system. If more people understand how finances work, they'll be more willing to be part of the financial system, especially if they're earning from it, like the system that we're trying to develop. If they earn rewards from it, they recognize why it would be more important to participate in the financial system. And for organizations, the other organizations we identified, like nonprofits and government, we see that they're already investing in financial literacy because they're committed to the growth of it in Africa. So that's what we're offering them, an opportunity, an easier way to achieve the goals that they've already committed to be more efficient in their processes since they're already spending on it.
And that is our first 3 minutes up. So team one, thank you ever so much for your efforts. And thank you so much for a really, really interesting pitch on how we can improve the financial literacy across Africa to help with vulnerability. Next up, I think the next chosen team to present their pitch is team three.
Good day, my name is Olorunfemi Adebayo and I lead team 3. So what I'm presenting today is RegTech API, or you can say RegTech AI, because our product is more focused on how we give people open access to our APIs, which is powered by AI. And the problem is quite simple. We want to just, companies spend at least $10 on customer acquisition, and sometimes they even spend more on retail, on retaining customers. If either is a retail business, or it's a travel business, any kind of business, they spend more on acquisition of customers. Now, the problem is for the vulnerable ones, they even spend more, because sometimes it's a problem of definition. How do we define if this person is actually a vulnerable customer? Then also they need a kind of framework and they need easy access to such frameworks in order to be able to define someone that is vulnerable or profile their potential customers. And this framework have to be data driven, which they also don't have a framework that is data driven, because it is expensive for just a company to build a system that determines if someone is vulnerable or not, or to profile a particular customer. It's expensive for just a company to build such. It's just like a company building its own payment gateway. So then they resort to manual profiling. So what we are giving to the solution we are giving is an alternative to the social profiling that people do in order to identify a customer or to determine the category of their vulnerability. So we are giving an API that is built on top of an AI model. So the AI model gathers data of different people and is able to define a persona. So for instance, if I feed in the data of a particular user, the system is able, using an API of course, then the system is able to give me a response and profile that particular person, if the person is a good fit for my business or not. And that kind of reduce the amount I spent on customer acquisition and also profiling a customer. So it is a large market because companies usually budget about 5 to 8% of their yearly budgets on just marketing. And most of this comes to a waste because their actual customer that converts, that fits their kind of business is usually a small percentage. And from research is a $17 billion market. So the value we are proposing is kind of modular in such a way that a company can plug it in and immediately start using the next minute using our API. Then it has a short time of onboarding because what they're going to be using is just getting to our API dashboard, reading the documentation and plugging it to their existing system. They don't have to build anything from scratch. It's easier to build with, and the API, the model keeps updating as we feed it new information. So this is our roadmap. From June, we are going to be doing more market analysis and gathering some requirements in a real life scenario. Then for June, we are going to be building the API MVP for market launch. And by September 2022, we hope to have reached a product market fit. And by December, having our seed round. Then by 2023, we'll be planning to scale up. So my name is Adebayo Olorunfemi, and I have about 10 years in software development, currently a DevOps engineer. So have a good technical background, and also I've built system that has been used by over 200,000 people in Nigeria. Then one of my team member is Ruth Peter. She's a business developer, and also Ked Talat, which is a marketing officer. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the pitch. Really, really interesting. Just want to open it up to the judges again, and the 3 minutes for that starts now.
Okay, maybe I'll jump in right here. Great pitch. Thank you very much. I wanted to understand how you see the business side coming in. I mean, when you pitch this to them, are you expecting that they will enrich the information to acquire a customer? And if so, how do you then answer the question if they are the one providing the information that is enriching your data set versus you bringing them a customer to save them the customer acquisition cost? Thank you.
Okay. So currently, let me use a bank for instance. A bank has a pool of customers and they constantly want to have additional clients. But now, in order to have more customers, they need to know who are we pitching to. If we are selling credit product, for instance, what is the class of people we need to sell credit product to? So some businesses, let me use startups for instance. They want to profile their ideal user, and it's expensive for them. Most of the time they go to social media, they throw the ads open, pay social media companies, and the ads kind of it's kind of open. But adventure maybe 20% converts. But now what we are doing is like we have a pool of data that already modeled human behavior. So by the time you are bringing the funnel, so you just pass your funnel through our model, and we'll be able to tell you out of all these people that you are looking at getting, we can give you, these are the people that fit your business. So for instance, we can crawl maybe let's say LinkedIn, for instance, we crawl LinkedIn. I'll tell you that, okay, out of this number of people that you're targeting, it's only 20% of these people that fit your business. So you kind of focus your advertisement and your marketing on those 20%. It reduce the number of money you spend in reaching 100 that later converts to 20. So that's where the value comes from.
Does that mean then your customers are startups mainly? You're targeting.
Basically just like a payment gateway. Payment gateway is used by either startups or established businesses. So any business that needs to acquire customer and profile that customer, it could be a startup, it could be a bank, it could be any business that just needs to profile a targeted customer.
And do you have any thoughts on how you would charge them to use it?
Yes, it's going to be per API call.
So given all you described, the time left, what threats do you see to achieving product market fit in 4 months?
Okay, so the major threats that I see here now is going to be the capacity of the team. I have a strong background technological wise. It's going to now be how much people can we reach at once, because once we launch this out there, there's going to be competition that's going to spring up. So, and how much can we leverage on existing technologies? So we don't necessarily need to build everything from scratch. So if we can leverage on existing technology and we can have good marketing strategy, then product market fit is very possible.
You don't see one of your threats being the aggressive nature of that timeline?
So the thing is, it's an AI model. So the building of that technology is not really what takes time. Is how fast can you reach the market, and that is determined by the capacity of your team and also funding. So those two things are actually what can elapse the timeline, because building of technology is not the issue at all.
Fantastic. I'm going to have to pause the questions there for Team 3. Thank you so much for the pitch. A really, really interesting approach using APIs for customer acquisition and customer identification. Thank you. Pause the questions there for Team 3. Thank you so much for the pitch. A really, really interesting approach using APIs for customer acquisition and customer identification. Thank you. And we then have our final pitch from Team 5. So Team 5, please, could you share your screen?
Yeah, for this hackathon, I selected helping vulnerable consumers. How can we assist consumers with money management? So what's the problem? What I'm trying to solve here is there are many small enterprises, small medium enterprises in African regions, African markets like Nigeria, Congo, and so on, Morocco. But there's no direct opportunity for investors outside of the African continent to actually invest in those enterprises. So the direct benefit might not be clear, but indirectly would lead to helping vulnerable customers, vulnerable consumers in the market. So that's my thinking there. I started with that idea, and then so I try to see what are the exact problems we are having in the market. So many people worldwide, they don't have access to investments in African markets. Like there are many VCs, many investment firms who invest in large enterprises through foreign direct investments, but there's no opportunity for a general normal person or even overseas African to actually invest in any particular enterprise. So for that purpose, I thought probably we could have a platform where we can allow different users from outside the country, outside the continent to invest in any particular company, whether it be in public exchange or private if they want to. So what are the benefits? What benefits can it bring? So it can increase the cash flow to the markets, to different public economies. And it can also bring in more circulation, more money circulation. So it's a win-win for both consumers and even enterprises. So with that agenda, with that in mind, I created this simple mockup. So how does this work? As you can see in first screen, there's a news article, OPEC and Russia related some articles. So in this screen, you can see a lot of news sources, many based out in Africa. So they'd all be integrated into this application, mobile application, where any user can actually see what are the companies that are being used or mentioned in those any news article, and they can see if they can invest in those companies directly. So yeah, that's basically what these three screens are showing. You can access global market data, and you can add any particular stock or company you're interested into your portfolio, or even if you want, you can actually invest in ETFs that are specific to African markets, because that's the most popular way to invest. Yeah, so with that, with those mockups, I try to list out what are the features we can include. So a check-in process can be installed, and then I can additionally add a user profile for user to include their personal information, and they can trade any stock that they want to, or any ETF, or any other instrument. And we can also show real-time price changes as well of the portfolios. And even for deposits here, given the current trend with crypto, even on-ramps is another plan for deposits there. On-ramp, off-ramp solution as part of this application. Yeah, so that's about the solution, proposed solution. And additionally, the plan is also to integrate different banks into the application, so that consumers are safe. They feel safe and secure even while making bank transfers. So how does this work? We integrate different bank payment gateway APIs into this application and provide the users with those options. So yeah, I think that's briefly about the solution, and thank you.
Thank you ever so much for hearing about how we can enable investing to allow vulnerable customers to improve their situation. Would love to open it up to the judges to ask some questions.
Okay, I'll kick it off. Thanks, Jay, for your presentation. I want to understand how you, in the business model, perceive the problem space of the vulnerable customers as it relates to investments. I mean, the order of stack of things. I mean, payments, investments, insurance. How is the business model addressing what the pain point or what the opportunity may be for this vulnerable market through this app? Thank you.
That's a great question. So I'd start with saying that in African markets, you can I think there are two approaches to help solving vulnerable problems, vulnerable consumer-related problems. So one way is directly, providing financial literacy and providing solutions that help the consumers directly, and the other way is the solution that I'm proposing, which is through enabling enterprises to actually benefit the populations in the markets. So if we can enable enterprises to bring in more investments, it would trickle down to bring in more, to increase the workforce, and thereby providing more cash flow resource and increased money flow within the market. So in that sense, it kind of enables or even addresses the inclusion issue as well, affordability. So I hope that that helps.
Maybe I'll jump on and just say, how do you plan to make money? And I'll yield to the others.
Yeah, so regarding that, it's very direct to B2C is how I see it. And based on the transactions, like probably 2%, 3% of any particular trade that they make is, it works in a very similar manner to any brokerage application outside. So transaction-based model, let's say.
Fantastic. And we probably have time for one more question from the judges.
Go on, I'll ask a question. I think when we looked at this kind of concept earlier, one of the questions that I had was about the type of investment. Would it be suitable for all the kind of vulnerable customers, assuming that, we're thinking rather than accessibility, we're thinking about, say, people who haven't made investments before. So, would you consider somebody else maybe helping with the investment decisions, or more of a kind of long-term investment strategy or something like that? What would be your kind of perspective on that?
Yeah, so currently there are two different solutions. One is robo-advisory. Robo-advisors is one way which is kind of becoming prominent method for financial advice, and there's also another much more customized solution. But for vulnerable customers, probably that's not a better approach to have a dedicated financial advisor in order to guide them. But yeah, I think those two approaches are currently what we're exploring, I'd say.
Superb. And with that, we are out of time for Team 5. With that session done, that concludes our pitches. And I think the judges have plenty to be thinking about over the coming day ahead of the announcement of the winner. Just as a really quick recap then for everyone. So we had Team 1 with a fantastic financial literacy solution to help vulnerable customers. Then we had Team 3, who was giving us an API that's going to help with the customer acquisition and identifying our vulnerable customer groups. And then we had Team 5, who are working on enabling vulnerable customers to actually invest. And I think, as alluded to by our judge Sujata there, possibly aiding with long-term investments so their money is not wasted. It's a really three pretty cool and different solutions. For me, that really is the meaning of the hackathon. It's the RegTech for Good challenge really brought together some like-minded people to solve some problems that really are underaddressed and aren't necessarily always thought of first. They're not necessarily the most sexy or the most exciting solutions, but they are probably the most critical. And it's really been a privilege to be a part of actually hearing some of these solutions come from an inception through to some really excellent pitches today. That just leaves me with just wanting to actually thank all the judges, all the attendees who have joined, and in particular the teams who have given up some of their time to come up with these solutions. And I guess the final thing is to thank everyone for being at the RegTech Africa conference. Really glad to be a part of it. It's a fantastic event. Really enjoyed it. I think that will be it for this session. I think there is a closing session following this. So really recommend everyone hop on over there and join that. Thank you ever so much all for joining.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Ali. Really excited. It was really interesting to hear all the different pitches. Yes, as you stated, there is going to be a closing session. I'm going to drop a link in the chat for you all to head over there. Again, this has been an amazing day. So make sure that you're still staying engaged till tomorrow. I know some of our engagement leaders are Uchenna, Jeremiah, and Fatima. So they're the ones to knock out in terms of trying to win that prize. Also, just continue to search through the RegTech Africa conference portal. Make sure you go to some of the exhibitors and speak with them as well. Have an opportunity to add things to your virtual swag bag, as well as connect with each network. I know some people have been dropping their information, LinkedIn in the chat. You can also connect on the actual RegTech Africa conference website as well. So build your profile out, add your things there as well. And again, just want to say, stay engaged. This is some great information. As you all saw, the last set was our round 1 of the pitches. And so looking forward to tomorrow to see who wins and all that amazing things. So again, we're going to do a closing ceremony. So I've dropped the link in the chat. If you could go ahead and start making your way over there, and we'll get ready to close it out shortly. Thank you all so much.
Thanks again, all.